Headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam's agricultural exports set new records of $62.5 billion. Later on, human resources needed for the North-South High-Speed Railway. And in a world news, Pope Francis calls on all nations to promote peace.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time, and you're tuning into 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Dylan Lei with the latest updates. Now, on the top news of this hour, State President Lunar New Year welcomed the newly appointed ambassadors of Cuba, Zimbabwe, and Bolivia, who presented their credentials and began their diplomatic duties in Vietnam on Thursday afternoon. More to follow.
Welcoming Cuban Ambassador Rogelio Polanco Fuentes to Vietnam, State President Lunar New Year reaffirmed that Vietnam has always closely monitored and shared Cuba's challenges. Reflecting on key milestones in the special bilateral relationship, he highlighted the important visit to Cuba by Party General Secretary To Lum, which marked a significant turning point in bilateral ties. He emphasized promoting agriculture, energy, biotechnology, and healthcare cooperation, and creating favorable conditions for Vietnamese businesses to invest in Cuba. Cuban Ambassador Rogelio Polanco Fuentes expressed deep gratitude for Vietnam's continued support of Cuba during this difficult period. He committed to further enhancing cooperation between the two countries across all sectors and nurturing an exemplary friendship, especially between Cuba and Vietnam.
During separate meetings with the ambassadors of Zimbabwe, Constance Chemwai, and Bolivia, Hugo José Silas Núñez del Prado, State President Lunar New Year reaffirmed that Vietnam prioritizes strengthening relations with Africa and Latin America. He noted that Zimbabwe and Bolivia share common development interests with Vietnam, and cooperation has vast potential to elevate these relationships to new heights. Sharing insights into Vietnam's foreign policy, he encouraged the two ambassadors to play an active role as bridges for friendship and cooperation, fostering deeper and more robust relations between Vietnam, Zimbabwe, and Bolivia in the future.
Earlier, during a meeting with Professor Riyad Malki, special envoy of the President of Palestine, State President Lunar New Year reaffirmed Vietnam's consistent support for the just struggle of the Palestinian people for national independence. Vietnam firmly upholds the two-state solution, envisioning an independent state of Palestine coexisting peacefully with the State of Israel. Highlighting Vietnam's deep understanding and sympathy for the immense losses Palestine has endured during over a year of conflict, the state president emphasized that Vietnam has repeatedly called for an immediate ceasefire, an end to hostilities and violence, and adherence to international humanitarian law. Palestinian Professor Riyad Malki delivered a letter from the President of Palestine to Vietnamese State President Lunar New Year, expressing a desire to enhance cooperation and profound gratitude for Vietnam's steadfast support of the legitimate and inalienable rights of the Palestinian people.
For the freedom, independence, and inspiration.
During a meeting with Australian Ambassador to Vietnam Andrew Kinowski, National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn highly appreciated the ambassador's contributions during his term, which have helped deepen and strengthen the comprehensive strategic partnership between Vietnam and Australia substantively and extensively. Vietnam prioritizes advancing its relationship with Australia, considering Australia one of its top partners and aspiring to achieve bilateral cooperation across all fields. The Australian ambassador reaffirmed his support for the vision of Party General Secretary To Lum regarding Vietnam's new era of development and its ongoing reform plans. He pledged that in any position he holds, he would continue to work towards enhancing the country's bilateral relations. The Vietnam-Cambodia Trade and Investment Promotion Forum was held in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on Wednesday, focusing on strengthening cross-border e-commerce cooperation and the digital economy. Businesses from both countries shared insights on upgrading payment infrastructure to support Vietnam-Cambodia trade and investment, as well as solutions for digital economy development. The forum also facilitated stronger connections, networking, and exploration of collaboration and trade opportunities. In the first 11 months of this year, bilateral trade turnover reached $9.2 billion, an 18% increase compared to the same period last year, with projections for the full year reaching approximately $10 billion. Transport infrastructure construction projects are busier than ever as year-end approaches. The earlier each public investment project is completed and put into use, the greater the economic boost it provides to the local area and the wider region. Many projects are ramping up their final stages to meet the target of disbursing at least 95% of the allocated public investment funds.
The main road connecting Vinh City to Co Lao Town is one of 3 major projects in Nghệ An province that have been completed nearly a year ahead of schedule.
Our department's leadership checks the progress at the construction sites and organizes meetings with contractors to find solutions. Land clearance also plays a crucial role in meeting deadlines.
Nghệ An province has also established task forces involving various departments to support and resolve procedural issues for investors. Nghệ An has disbursed over 75% of its allocated public investment funds, significantly higher than the national average.
The disbursement of public investment funds is closely monitored across the province, with projects categorized based on their speed of disbursement. Any bottlenecks in procedures or capital management are being addressed promptly.
By the end of November, Thanh Hoa province had disbursed over 76% of its public investment funds and is now pushing to achieve the highest possible disbursement rate.
We have been holding regular meetings to commit to the timely completion of land clearance and monthly disbursement targets. Localities are actively monitoring the implementation of projects and public investment disbursements.
Public investment disbursement reached just over 60% of the Prime Minister's target by the end of November. To meet this year's goal of disbursing at least 95% of allocated funds, an additional $9.6 billion must be disbursed in December and January. This presents a significant challenge, requiring ministries, sectors, and local governments to address any remaining issues proactively.
For the first time, Vietnam's cashew exports have surpassed the $4 billion mark, totaling $4.2 billion this year, according to the General Department of Vietnam Customs. By the end of this year, the export volume of cashew nuts is expected to exceed 700,000 tons, significantly higher than last year's record of 644,000 tons. Traditional markets such as the United States, China, and Netherlands have shown strong growth this year. Higher export prices have also contributed to this record-breaking export value. Vietnam's agriculture sector continued to shine as exports of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products surpassed $62.5 billion in 2024, marking the highest recorded figure. Despite a challenging year with global market volatility and natural disasters, the agriculture sector ensured domestic food security and set new export records for key agricultural products.
For the first time, Vietnamese coffee is the most expensive in the world. Harvest season has also become a time for growers to reap substantial rewards.
The price has doubled compared to last year, and people are happy as distributors offer higher prices.
It's not just coffee. Prices for export crops such as durian, cocoa, rice, and pepper are also at record highs. Expanding into new markets like the Middle East and Africa, alongside boosting formal exports to traditional markets such as the US and China, has driven significant growth for many agricultural products.
The market is the driving force behind the entire agricultural sector's output. We now have a production system, market access, processing capacity, and room to sustain this growth.
While agricultural exports have reached record levels, Vietnam has received over 1,000 notifications regarding increased food safety inspection frequencies from importing countries, the highest number ever.
If we only focus on quantity and neglect quality, the reputation of Vietnam's agricultural products will suffer. Production areas must align with market signals and demand.
Agricultural exports are expected to grow strongly in 2025 as global demand for food and agricultural products remains high. Vietnam's agriculture sector must take advantage of immediate prospects and address internal challenges to secure a stronger position on the global agricultural map.
Coming up next on VTV News. Human resources needed for the North-South High-Speed Railway. And later on, Tate gifts to be delivered to Cheung Sa Archipelago. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now continuing on with other important updates, Nghệ An Provincial Police have recently uncovered a drug trafficking ring smuggling illegal narcotics via air routes from European countries to Vietnam for distribution. The ring was led by 19-year-old Lê Tiến Đức, who collaborated with individuals residing in European countries to send drugs concealed within cosmetic packages. Authorities apprehended Đức while he was transporting over 2 kilograms of methamphetamine. As the investigation expanded, law enforcement arrested another member of the ring, Nguyễn Thị Thương, residing in Vinh City, Nghệ An Province. The case is currently under further investigation and being handled in accordance with the law. The North-South High-Speed Railway project is expected to start construction in 2027. According to initial calculations by the Ministry of Transport, the project needs about 240,000 technical workers for infrastructure construction and installation. In addition, 13,800 operational personnel and about 2,000 consulting experts are also needed. Many universities have proactively opened training programs to supply human resources promptly.
To date, Ho Chi Minh City University of Transport is the first and only university in the country to establish an institute affiliated with high-speed railways. The intensive training program began this year.
More than 200 students have been studying for the high-speed railway majors from the 2024 class. By 2025, the school is expected to fully enroll 4 majors to meet the human resource needs by 2027.
Although railways are not a new industry, many schools have trained in or have training programs related to them. However, for the first time in Vietnam, operating a train with a speed of up to 350 kilometers per hour requires new skills and knowledge.
Few schools already teach structural, design, and construction problems at the 100 kilometers per hour level. Students involved in construction may not understand the new design problems because of a lack of foundation knowledge.
According to calculations, an average of 9 people are needed at 5 locations to operate 1 kilometers of the North-South High-Speed Railway. The High-Speed Rail project, stretching over 1,500 kilometers, requires 13,800 people.
In addition to the tuition policy is suitable, which will also create opportunities for young people to access university educations, especially in remote areas.
Recruiting human resources not only helps ensure the project is on schedule, but also underscores the pioneering role of higher education, especially when Vietnam is in the process of modernizing infrastructure, and developing high-speed transportation is imperative.
Against the backdrop of economic fluctuations, many businesses face financial difficulties and are forced to cut costs and lay off workers. However, some businesses have a more sustainable solution, retraining workers to adapt and increase competitiveness, especially businesses operating in high-tech industries.
Hana Micron Vina's chip packaging factory specializes in manufacturing high-tech products. Machinery is replaced frequently, so workers are easily eliminated from the production line. Therefore, the company focuses on on-site training.
For workers under training like us, we work 20 days a month and have 10 days off. We always engage with employers in developing plans to retain employees and conditions to support businesses.
We are trained and receive one-on-one training here.
The company spends an hour retraining workers every 2 weeks. Depending on the position, workers are sent for intensive training for 1 to 7 days every few months at a training facility.
To meet the demand for human resources in the semiconductor industry, the company cooperates with universities in Bac Giang province. We cooperate with the Vietnam Korea College of Technology and send specialized engineers to train at the school for 2 hours a week.
In this factory, a production line that used to be run by 2 to 3 workers is now operated by robots. The cost savings will be used to invest in training to improve workers' skills.
Experts will instruct us on operating and using new equipment and evaluating results, and then we will train our workers.
Automation has helped increase productivity at our factory by about 20%. In the coming years, our goal will be to focus on recruiting and training a skilled workforce to take over and operate new modern equipment.
Trade unions have negotiated with employers to train and improve workers' skills and avoid layoffs.
We always engage with employers in developing plans to retain employees and conditions to support businesses.
More and more high-tech companies are investing in Vietnam. Therefore, retraining workers is indispensable to collective labor agreements signed with employers.
Starting on January the 1st, 2025, the interest rate for social housing loans will decrease from 4.8% to 4.7% per year. This regulation is stipulated in Decision 2690 of the State Bank of 2024 regarding the interest rates applied by commercial banks in 2025 for outstanding balances of housing support loans. This rate will apply throughout 2025 for housing support loans provided by commercial banks, as recently announced by the State Bank of Vietnam. The beneficiaries include individuals purchasing, renting, or leasing to own social housing and enterprises investing in social housing construction projects. 17 commercial banks will apply this home loan interest rate of only 4.7% per year, enabling customers to access preferential capital competitively. On Thursday afternoon, the ships carrying Lunar New Year or Tate supplies to the Cheung Sa archipelago departed from Cam Ranh military port. Leaders of Naval Region 4 and the Khánh Hòa Provincial People's Committee were present to see off the delegation. These outbound ships ensure combat readiness and symbolize compassion, unity, and the unwavering bond between the mainland and Vietnam's offshore islands. The ships deliver the essence of the Lunar New Year through heartfelt gifts like chung cakes, kumquat trees, apricot blossoms, and messages of encouragement. These gestures will provide comrades stationed at the forefront with additional strength to overcome every challenge. With the Lunar New Year just a month away, demand for food products is expected to rise by 10 to 15% compared to previous months. Businesses and farming cooperatives have planned ahead to ensure adequate supply and prevent sudden price increases during the holiday season. Farms began preparing their chickens 5 months in advance to guarantee quality and taste. According to the Department of Livestock Production, there are currently 550 million poultry available for the Tate season. In the final month of the year, 80 million chickens, equivalent to 1.8 million tons of chicken meat, will be sold on the market. As the year comes to a close, traditional craft villages in Cần City are ramping up production as they enter their peak season for the Lunar New Year market. These villages specialize in traditional confectioneries and crafting a wide variety of treats that rival imported products in both design and quality. Villagers are working round the clock to meet the high demand for their goods.
As Lunar New Year approaches, Thuận Hung Rice Paper Village in Cần Thơ City is bustling with activity. Tho's family, along with other households in the village, is working at full speed to produce high-quality rice paper for the market. To meet demand, she has enlisted additional workers to help with production.
Tet is a peak time for sales, with demand soaring. Sometimes there aren't enough rice cakes to meet the demand.
To be honest, it's both challenging and straightforward, but at least I earn more for this holiday.
At this production facility, the atmosphere is livelier than usual. Dozens of workers handle every stage of production, from processing raw materials to packaging finished products, as they prepare to meet the holiday demand.
Previously, we used traditional packaging, but now we've switched to custom-designed packaging to make our products more appealing to consumers. I encourage the workers to collaborate with the factory, working overtime and increasing hours. This not only boosts their income, but also ensures that we have enough products to meet customer demand during the Tet holiday.
Currently, Cần Thơ City is home to around 74 OCOP entities and numerous craft villages that specialize in confectionery production. For the upcoming Lunar New Year, these establishments are enhancing both their production capacity and product quality. Though imported confections offer diverse choices and attractive packaging, traditional treats remain popular in the market.
Coming up next in our world news, Pope Francis calls on all nations to promote peace. And later on, China to build the world's largest hydropower dam. Now, moving on to our world news. In his traditional Christmas message, Pope Francis called on the world to stop using weapons and promote peace in the Middle East, Ukraine, and Sudan. Speaking to a crowd of thousands at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, Pope Francis highlighted the grave humanitarian situation caused by ongoing conflicts in numerous hotspots worldwide. The Pope expressed his hope that peace will be established globally, that the current devastating conflicts will end, and that the world will be filled with love and compassion. Pope Francis also called on developed countries to reduce the debt burden of poor nations while stressing his commitment to peace and the protection of the earth. Moscow is ready to continue supplying gas to Europe via multiple routes, not just via Ukraine, Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said on Thursday. The statement was made in the context of Ukraine announcing in the middle of this month that it would not renew the agreement on the transit of Russian gas through Ukrainian territory from the beginning of next year. The total volume of Russian gas and liquefied natural gas exported to Europe countries from January to November this year increased by 18 to 20% compared to 2023, exceeding 50 billion cubic meters. About 50% of Russian gas supplies to Europe are transported via the route through Ukraine. The rest is supplied via the Turkish Stream pipeline in the Black Sea. China has approved a project to build a giant hydroelectric dam on the eastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau. According to the Power Construction Corporation of China, the project will produce 300 billion kilowatt-hours of electricity per year, more than 3 times the designed capacity of the Three Gorges Dam, currently the world's largest hydroelectric dam. The 50-kilometer river section chosen for the dam has a gradient of 2,000 meters, creating huge hydroelectric potential. The cost of building the new hydroelectric dam is expected to exceed that of the Three Gorges Dam, which cost nearly $35 billion. The new hydroelectric project is set to help China achieve its carbon neutrality goal. More and more research is being done to expand human habitats. Billionaire Elon Musk is working on sending humans to live on Mars, and in Panama, a scientist is experimenting with how humans might adapt to life in the ocean.
This is the current home of German aerospace engineer Rüdiger Korch. It is located off the coast of Panama and can only be reached by boat. A spiral staircase led down to a room 11 meters below the sea level.
I want to prove that the marine environment is viable for human habitation. Let's push the boundary. Living under the sea is something we should study as a sustainable development solution.
Rüdiger has lived here for 2 months in a sealed compartment of about 30 square meters. There's everything he needs to sustain life: toilet, bed, TV, computer, fan, and exercise bike. This room has satellite internet and uses solar energy, along with a backup generator.
Here, we ensure the electrical system is always maintained. I also have a camera system to monitor all the operating indicators in the sealed compartment.
Rüdiger will continue the experiment for another 2 months and plans to go ashore on January 29th to break the Guinness World Record for continuous underwater habitation. Rüdiger wants to prove that humans can live and work in the marine environment.
Coming up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app, VTVgo, for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.